It's not just black and brown people. Drugs and murdering, killing has no boundary to race. So it's not just that. Trump's following a handbook written by the Project 2025 Heritage Foundation, which is really papacy that wrote all of it. It's all coming from his desk. The common good and the climate control.
Y'all better wake up.
The Schwarzkopfs and the Pattons. More leadership changes will be made, of that I'm certain. Not because we want to, but because we must. Once again, this is life and death. The sooner we have the right people, the sooner we can advance the right policies. Personnel is policy. But I look out at this group and I see great Americans. Leaders who have given decades to our great republic at great sacrifice to yourselves and to your families. But if the words I'm speaking today are making your heart sink, then you should do the honorable thing and resign. We would thank you for your service.
In the past few days since Trump's rare gathering at Quantico, where he addressed nearly 800 senior military leaders, generals, admirals, and top advisors, and basically told them that US cities were to be treated as training grounds for the military, unless, of course, you spoke with Mike Johnson, in which he'll tell you that those exact words that you're mentioning that Trump said, he didn't really mean them, right?
Hold on a second. As Speaker of the House, do you answer the question? As Speaker of the House, do you believe it's appropriate to use American cities as training grounds for the U.S. military, calling those people in the American cities the enemy within? I'm asking you, as Speaker of the House, do you think that's appropriate?
I'm not going to comment on your characterization of what the president said. I didn't get to see that speech because I was a little busy yesterday. Well, you can take his quotes out of context, which you often do, and I don't think that's fair to the president. I'll tell you what he's done, though. He's put National Guard troops here in D.C. and cleaned up the crime problem. People can walk safely to and from work today because the president takes crime seriously. Some of the big mayors in some of these big blue cities are not, and I think that's probably what he was addressing there.
Well, after it, there's been a slew of sudden retirements. Interesting. You see, Trump framed domestic unrest as a battlefield, declaring a war from within and naming cities like San Francisco, Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles as targets in that fight. He urged that the military should be a, quote, major part of restoring order.
Important mission, and I told Pete we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military.
Meanwhile, Pete Hegseth says, well, he did his best to get a rise out of the silent crowd, but instead it turned out to be more of a Jeb Bush, please clap moment.
Move out and draw fire. Because we are the War Department. Godspeed. Go! Let's finish up!
Something to remember. In World War II, Hitler gathered together the preachers into one church and to see who was on his side and who wasn't. And whoever wasn't was taken out, imprisoned, or never seen again. Now, this time, Trump has the preachers and the Christians in his back pocket. But he doesn't have the top military men in his back pocket. So he gathered them together to see who would be on his side. Because now he wants the soldiers to fight and kill their neighbors, which they're not ready to do. A lot of people left the military because of this. And they're not all on his side. Think about it. Is it Hitler again?
Top military officials resigning. Y'all take a look.
Atlantic, that the question on the minds of the top military commanders after listening to Donald Trump yesterday must have been, how can I know that an order I received to launch my missiles came from a sane president?
I mean, when top military officials are announcing their retirement just days after a speech filled with ideological pressure and threats to military dissenters, you know, things aren't exactly going in the right direction.
Well, a judge blocked Trump from using National Guard in Oregon to take protesters away from an immigration building. Well, that didn't stop him because he went to California and pulled some up from there, going around the law, trying to get them to Oregon. Well, it's funny. Things have changed a lot because Trump didn't mind thousands and thousands and thousands protesters in Washington, D.C., January 6th. And even when there was some in the crowd that was actually sent there to make trouble, they started making trouble at the building for I think it was the Capitol building. And he didn't want the National Guard there. Big change, huh? Big change. All of a sudden, he wants it for the people of this country when they're protesting what he's doing. But he didn't care at all if they were tearing up the building at the Capitol when he was in there. And he wanted to stay in there, he claimed. Well, you can see that it's one-sided. It's one-sided, folks.
A federal judge Saturday blocked the Trump administration from using Oregon National Guard soldiers in response to nightly protests at an Immigration and Customs Enforcement building in Portland, Oregon. Judge Karen Immergut of U.S. District Court in Oregon sided with Democrats who run the state government when she issued a temporary restraining order blocking the mobilization. President Donald Trump and the Defense Department had ordered 200 Oregon soldiers for a 60-day deployment. The decision comes as the president pushes to deploy the National Guard in several major U.S. cities to combat crime and support immigration enforcement. State and city attorneys described Trump's selection of Portland for deployment as, at best, arbitrary, and at worst, a politically motivated retaliation for the adoption of policies that the president viewed as too liberal. State lawyers also questioned the timing of Trump's decision, noting records from the Portland Police Bureau that showed the size of the nightly demonstrations had dwindled before the president posted on his social media website last Saturday that he planned to ask the Department of Defense to use federal troops to protect Portland.
Y'all look at this next clip. Look on top of the roof. It's protesters, not National Guard. Pritzker says Trump's going after black and brown people. What do y'all think? Y'all drop down in the comments, let us know.
Response to Secretary Noem. And as a practical matter, since you oppose this troop deployment, is there anything you can do?
Well, good morning, Jake. And let me just say that the secretary doesn't know what she's talking about. She frankly says that people are clapping. They're not. they're booing her on the street, and they're booing ICE and CBP. They're marching, the CBP marching on a beautiful Sunday in Michigan Avenue in downtown Chicago. They're raiding neighborhoods where instead of going after the bad guys, they're just picking up people who are brown and black and then checking their credentials. Are you a U.S. citizen? I don't know about you, but I don't carry around papers that say I'm a U.S. citizen. So you can imagine people are getting detained, they're getting arrested, U.S. citizens. And they did this, of course, when they raided a building in the middle of the night in South Shore. 130 people that were emptied out of this building. They were going after a few gang members, and instead they broke windows, they broke down doors, they ransacked the place, and there were people that were held, elderly people and children zip-tied. Elderly people held for 3 hours at a time. They are the ones that are making it a war zone. They need to get out of Chicago if they're not going to focus on the worst of the worst, which is what the president said they were going to do. They need to get the heck out. So
it's not just black and brown people. Drugs and murdering, killing has no boundary to race. So it's not just that. Trump's following a handbook written by the Project 2025 Heritage Foundation, which is really papacy that wrote all of it. It's all coming from his desk. The common good and the climate control.
Y'all better wake up. Until next time, 2 Lamps Last Hour News.
So let's talk about that. The federal agents this week carrying out this massive nighttime raid on this apartment complex in Chicago. Reportedly, they used drones, helicopters, military-style vehicles. A Border Patrol officer told the New York Times that snipers rappelled down to the roof of the building during the raid from a helicopter. What more can you tell us about this raid?
Well, let me also mention that the Border Patrol shouldn't be there either. They're claiming that the shores of Lake Michigan are the border of the United States, and therefore they should be in Chicago. They belong on the borders, truly on the borders, and where there may be some mayhem that they need to deal with, but it's not in the city of Chicago. What happened at that building is shameful. Our Department of Children and Family Services are investigating what happened to those children who were zip-tied and held, some of them nearly naked, in the middle of the night. And again, elderly people being thrown into a U-Haul for 3 hours and detained U.S. citizens. What kind of a country are we living in? And this raid at this building is emblematic of what ICE and CBP and the President of the United States, Kristi Noem and Greg Bovino, are trying to do. They want mayhem on the ground. They want.
Look what Trump says is his reason for deploying troops to U.S. cities. He claims it's to get rid of all the bad. But why are people starting to wake up and say, what's going on here? I don't know what's going on. We had somebody tell us that today. We talked to them a little bit on the phone and they said, I don't know what's going on, man. There was a man that said that. I don't know what's going on. You know why they're starting to say, I don't know what's going on? Because there's something else going on besides what's supposed to be going on. People are waking up. They're starting to see through all of this.
Yes, right. Trump is just a puppet. And a puppet can only say and do what the hand in him is working, doing, and saying. He's not the man you think he is. It's the Catholic, the papacy, and all the ones around him are Catholic and papacy. And the papacy is actually chomping at the bits to get rid of this Constitution so he can move in here with his Roman ways. Be careful. Be on guard. Prepare.
Right, because the Bible says in Revelation that the second beast causes the first beast Actually, the second beast causes the people to worship the first beast, which was before it.
He can only do what he's told. He's powerless without the papacy.
Washington, D.C. is now a safe place. You're not going to get mugged or hit. You're not going to get raped. You're not going to get anything. Washington, D.C. went from a hellhole to a safe place. I love the way you nod. Is it true, though? People, a lot of the people right here were, a lot of the people right here were mugged, reporters. And you know what? You're safe now. Nothing, we got no crime. It took 12 days to solve the problem. 12 days. And we're going to do that in Chicago. We're going to do that in Portland. Now, Portland's different. That's a bunch of paid insurrectionists. But you have a lot of paid people in Chicago, too. I believe the politicians are under threat because there's no way somebody can say that things are wonderful in Chicago. Almost 55, I think it was 55 people over a short period of time have been murdered in Chicago, have been shot. 222 people over a short period of time have been hit, have been wounded, not died. But 55 people died over a short period of time. You're telling me there's no city in the world like that. We're going to straighten it out. And I think that Pritzker, he's not a stupid person. I think that Pritzker's afraid for his life. We want to make it better. What kind of layoffs? Well, I call them Democrat layoffs. They're Democrat layoffs. They're causing it. We're ready to go back. You know, we have a record-setting economy. We have a record-setting country. Prices are way down. We're doing better than the country's ever done. And the Democrats hate seeing that. It's up to them. Anybody laid off, that's because of the Democrats. Thank you.